Welcome back to a new and exciting segment. Today I will delve deep into the spiritual meaning of the monad, which, if you like to call it, the intelligence of the spirit. So today I would like to explain the monad and its connection to Christ consciousness and seed atom ignition. I will address where the monad is located in the body and how it's sparked, and go into various monadic interpretations from various different teachings for comparison and clarity. You would have heard of the Vesica Pisces, or the snake devouring its own tail symbolism, and this is actually considered a mutated form of the monad rather than a symbol of enlightenment. So today I will be discussing that as well. I want to discuss the traps, snares used in the New Age teachings to literally steal your monadic essence, and discuss how the reversals occurred when it comes to the monad, so the monadic reversals. So it's going to be an interesting segment, and as always, I end the segment with offering the healing possibilities to bring the monadic body back online following a long period of silence, or a long period of what's called a monadic reversal and a hijack. So what does this all mean for you personally and the grid works of consciousness operating on Earth right now? This will all be discussed in today's segment. And once we move through the healing solutions, I'll offer a simple practice to support your preparation for the monadic activations. It's at the end of the segment, so stay tuned. It's a very simple exercise, short and simple, yet it may hold something valuable for you. I'd love for you to stay with me for that. And as always, if this work resonates, hit the thank you button below to show appreciation for our work. So I'm going to start now with just making a very simple explanation about the term monad, and offer you perspective from various spiritual traditions that also use the term monad, because each of those traditions carries its own lens and partial truth. However, one important truth I'd like to show you today is how the current teachings and the spiritual technologies, most of it anyway, are geared toward monadic reversals, unfortunately. So how and why this happened, that will also be elaborated in today's segment. In essence, we must take steps towards reclamation and bio-regeneration of the DNA template to regain our spiritual abilities. And people ask, why do we need to do that? But there is a long interpretation and a short interpretation. And the short interpretation is that the grids itself, the earth grids, the universal grids too, have been reversed. There's a lot of implants, there's a lot of dark energy that's been used that contributed to the reversal of the Christic and the natural and organic grid works of consciousness. And so as a result, as we're born into the earth, we acquire the same template, and these reversals hence are moved into our body, become a part of us as well. So this is why we have to be proactive in seeking a solution, and we do have that the part of the Bio-regensis and reclamation mission of our DNA, a program that is been gifted back to us to regain our spiritual abilities. That becomes a necessity. So evolving through the spiritual dimensional ascension beyond the confines of space, time, and matter, and dimensionality. As you know, we're living in a multidimensional universe. And moving forth into ascended mastery is not a process that can be achieved overnight, let alone in one lifetime. However, it is available, and it's for you, it's for us, for anyone interested and resonant to use it to anchor and expedite the anchoring of the 8th dimensional monad especially. And today I will be discussing how that can be achieved. First of all, I want to talk about why the monad connection is super important. I will dive into that topic today. But in brief, without this connection to the monad, the body is unconsciously consenting to distorted energies that are a part of the grid works around us. Dark forces often exploit this gap. They feed on confusion, they feed on passivity, meaning, you would hear the word surrender in the New Age arena, and it's, whilst it feels good, it feels really good to just surrender, let be, and, do no proactive work, essentially, to do anything about your DNA or your monadic reversal. That passivity has, there's some comfort in it, but also the downfall is it leaves you in a position where you're just primed to take on the energy from what is around you, from the environment, from the earth grids, from the net field. So it's not to say that we have to always be doing something, but the balance between passivity and hence surrender, not doing anything, and a little bit of proactive approach towards activating the DNA template is very healthy, very valuable, and beneficial for all of us right now. But the main thing is knowing who you are, because lacking self-awareness and lacking discernment, we risk becoming one and enmeshed with these forces, the dark forces that want to entangle you in their own frequencies, because these frequencies will override your sovereignty, your freedom. So part of the reclamation is knowing your divine purpose. So that's completely tied to the reclamation of your original encoded DNA and choosing the path of walking with integrity, walking with all your bits together, working in harmony, rather than just a mixed bag of, the being product of the environment, basically. Many of you listening today are perhaps wondering how we can fit into a system. We don't fit into a system is a short answer. How can we make it work, though? We have to make it work. The simple answer to this is we can recognize and realize that we don't fit into the system, yet we can enjoy the little things, the aspects that we can't change, and change the things that we can change. So we're here to restore what was lost, to embody what's true, and to anchor frequencies that remind others of who they are. Even though it may appear that you're not proactive, you're not standing in the center stage and yelling out to everyone and saying we're under attack or whatever, that doesn't have to be the way to go about it. But as long as you're doing some sort of activation, some sort of anchoring of frequencies, then you're doing the work. That is your divine purpose, is to realize that within you first, accept what we cannot change. There's things we still cannot change, accept that we cannot change, but the things that we can, try and take a proactive approach and do as much of that embodiment, spiritual healing as much as you can. So as far as the monad is concerned, there is a tangible structure to the monad, and it is a part of us, hence it's a part of our body. It's a very important activation to do for the flame body. The Eka flame, basically how the monad's anchored, is it comes from the Eka flame. The Eka flame is basically the higher light fields. Okay, it's the highest, the highest, most purest frequency from source. So that Eka frequency comes down from source and spins out energy, and it starts at a 360-degree thrust. Okay, 360 degrees. Now then it divides itself into 4 axes. each is a 90-degree thrust. Then it breaks down and becomes 33 1/3 and 11 2/3. And if you add those two, it forms a 45 charge. It's a field of energy that's made up of a 45-degree charge. And when many of those interact with each other, they form a perpetual Christic spark. This is the spark that, when we say the spark, that's it, the spark from the Eka. And where they meet is the monad, okay? This is the joint point where the divine feminine and divine masculine meet, or the particum feminine, particule masculine meet, and forms the spark. When they meet at these specific angles and they spark and they recycle back to source perpetually, okay, so it becomes a perpetual cycling back to source. That's if there's no disruption or distortion in the flow. And as long as the Merkaba has not been shifted in its direction and it's in and at its axis, so that, so the axis is forced into a misalignment, like what's happening basically with us now. So that continues to perpetually activate and recycle, getting more energy and returning back, as long as it's also spinning at a 45 degree and not the 55 degree, which is the death Merkaba, which I've spoken to in many other videos that I've made. It's on our channel if you want to check that out, particularly the Merkaba mechanics. So in essence, the monad is a perpetual generator of the living spark. The monad is a spark that enables us to function as an eternal life form. And that applies to systems as well as galaxies and universes. Every form, everything alive is connected to the monad until it loses its connection. Now, within the Azure is where the monad's located. It's the 8th chakra, otherwise known as the thymus. And this is where the distribution takes place and controls the frequencies of the monad, like a distribution center to the rest of the body. As you know, we are 15 dimensions, and so the planet connects to the body connects to the galactic body, and to the universal, the metagalactic, through to the Eka. These aren't just, normal energy units or energy circuits. They are leaping sets of arcs, so they leap. Okay, when they leap down or up, and we ride on these arcs. And when the monad is shut down, what is experienced is a misfiring of the electrical connections to the brain. Because the monad, it's that spiritual energy behind, the brain. And so because the monad controls the functions in the hypothalamus, which is the controlling center in the brain. Now, when nearly everything underwent the monadic reversal, what happened, sadly, is a disconnection from the universal gates of consciousness, and the monad became anchored in what is known as a metatronic frequencies, the metatronic frequencies. So it's a reversal, 8 frequencies. This is why, also worth mentioning, at the day 6 of conception, after conception, this is when the monadic reversals take place in the body, and majority of the human consciousness, like from 90 to 95% of its consciousness, shuts down. So we're born with 5 to 7% maximum of our potential in terms of consciousness. This becomes important to know if you are desiring to evolve and regain your spiritual ability and connection to eternal source. You want to know where that distribution center is and how this energy comes down and forms. Now, thanks to negative aliens, fallen angels, they want to crush the permanent seed atom in the thymus gland, which is a position of the 8th chakra, so here. And that's in the 8th chakra is where the monad starts coming in and actually connecting into the body. In other words, the damage of the diamond heart manifesting into an Nubian black heart damages the permanent seed atom, and then it manifests as a monadic reversal or a metatronic reversal. They're one and the same thing. I think I'm going to delve now a little bit into other traditions and what they say about monad. I know that a lot of traditions have mentioned the monad. Some attempt to teach it in a little bit more detail. But I want to present that to you today and show you the difference from freedom teaching perspective to in contrast with other traditions. So I will break it down for you to help you understand the monad a little bit more as well. Monad is, like I said before, is the spark, the living spark. So if you are someone who appreciates visuals, picture it like this. You know how you spark your gas heater to get it going? The energy that comes through the template and brings it to life, that's the monad. It's the spark that lights up the flame. But that's your own living flame. So it is the aspect of your multidimensional self that connects you to the original God, seed, and stream of consciousness, because you get the energy straight, perpetual living energy from God source directly into the monad. Between 2003 and 2010, I think, I'll need to double check on those dates, but from 2003 anyway, we experienced starburst cycles involving resetting of that God seed, the moment of first creation within ourselves and our own reality. And why am I mentioning this? Because the monad underwent reversal and it had to be brought back for reclamation. So there needed to be periods of resetting. They're called starburst cycles from the echo world. So that's the gift we received in order to reset our monad. Those with extreme monadic reversals, obviously, were not able to reset for them because the reversals were too great and there'd be more damage. You had, if they had to integrate these energies, but those with a little bit of reversals could, easily integrate those new frequencies and begin the process of, re-spiritualization, if you like. So I'll explore the meaning of monad in other traditions for clarifications before I give the freedom teaching explanation. And by the way, I want to mention that the descriptions don't really differ much. What I feel the main difference is, over time, these other traditions feel to me like they're a little bit abstract and the core meaning is not very practical. Like you couldn't connect with the meaning of the monad in other traditions. What I like in contrast about the freedom teaching paradigm is the monad is explained as something abstract and something so tangible and even scientific. I feel like it's got a really good scientific way of coming through and, how it divides itself and how it arcs and everything. It's all following a mathematical formula. And I feel like it's a very tangible and makes a lot of sense to me anyway. So these traditions, many of them, they attempt to explain it, but they only give you a concept of it, okay? They offer you a concept of the soul without giving you the technique to connect with your soul. They just say, go in and find your soul. It's like, okay, how do I know I found my soul, let alone integrate my soul? So this is the great thing about the freedom teachings is it's very practical. And, there is a module called The Tangible Structure of the Soul by Ashayana Dean. And yeah, like I said, It follows a mathematical pattern which speaks to every mind, whether you're scientific or philosophical or a skeptic or a firm believer in religion or your faith. You still would find some truth in this, if not the whole truth. So yeah, I will get into the main core of this segment. So I want to show you the difference here so that it becomes clearer how the term monad is explained in various traditions. So I'll begin with the Hermetic and esoteric Christian teachings. The monad is often seen or reflected as the Logos or the Christ within, the divine blueprint each soul carries. There is a part truth in that, yeah? Yeah, the Christ within. It sounds like something we would find in the freedom teachings. However, they don't offer you a way to connect with it. Christ consciousness, what is it? Like, how do I know I've embodied Christ consciousness? Yeah, you may feel it. You may feel, okay, I feel it just sort of in an abstract way, but in my body, I can't feel it yet. Okay. Another one is the Great White Brotherhood. They describe it as a spark of God connected to the I Am presence. That's all good and well in modern frameworks because that's commonly linked to the higher self. In theosophical literature, the monad is defined as the triadic essence. So it's got an atma, a spirit, it's connected to the buddhi, the intuition, and the manas, which is your higher mind. Still, do they give you a tangible way to connect with it? The answer is no. There is no tangible way, unfortunately. Now, looking now at the Tibetan and Hindu Vedanta philosophies, you'll come to realize the monad is referred to as different names, got different names, all meaning the same thing. One can say it's a little misunderstood. Although both traditions honor the essence of the monad, yoga affirms it is a soul. The monad is a soul, Atman or Atma, while Tibetan thought actually deconstructs the identity to reveal this inner essence, the luminous awareness, and that's known as the Rigpa, which is often the monad. And so they all speak of returning to the self. Yoga speaks of dissolving the ego into the ground of being. The philosophies both don't offer us a way to connect with the monad except through simple meditative practices like dissolving the ego meditation or, one of those, you go into deep, higher states of consciousness where your ego is non-existent, and this is where you find the monad. It's a very sort of grey area. It doesn't give you specific locations where it's actually tangible, where you can feel it. And I'll simplify this yet again. If you compare these traditions with the freedom teachings method to connect to the monad, you'll find the latter, the freedom teachings, use certain tangible techniques to connect you with your 8th level anatomy. And no, you don't have to even attain a level of enlightenment to connect with the monad. You don't have to sit under a tree and meditate for 20 hours a day. You don't have to go to a 30-day retreat for silent meditation to connect with the Rigpa. You don't even have to kill the ego or dissolve the mind completely into the void. You do, however, have to understand you have a tangible structure, a multidimensional identity, architecture, and you do have to work with specific energetic techniques. So another thing we have to do is know the structure of our anatomy so that we can remove implants, crystal seals, and open up to higher levels of identity, awareness, including the monadic body. So in essence, it's very tangible, very practical, and available right here now. And the best part about this is there is no tapas involved. Tapas is a fiery practice to dissolve the ego, the I identity. It's a part of the Vedanta or the yoga tradition. We don't have to do tapas for that. We don't have to dissolve the ego to nothingness. Like I said, we need to have awareness, and we need to do some techniques to reawaken the template. And you don't have to kill the ego. It requires integration of the lower parts of the self and not a killing of any part of the self. It requires integrating the parts, dimensions 1 to 7, to reach your monadic body that sits at 8th dimension. It requires a correct alignment of the Merkaba. And your Merkaba has a geometrical shape with very defined, accurate, precise measurements, a spin speed and direction. Again, you can refer to the Merkaba podcast on our channel if you want to go into the Merkaba mechanics in depth. So for the monad, you need to know that there is a tangible structure to it, to your soul, to your oversoul, and that's really simple, if one really desires to do this kind of work. Contrary to what we've been told, that the monad isn't just an idea, the monad isn't just an abstract thing, the monad isn't seen after death only, the monad isn't seen after ego dissolves. It's with you right here, right now, in the waking state, in the sleeping state, in the conscious state, in the unconscious state. It's a matter of whether the spark is there or whether the spark is not there. Whether you actively awaken the spark and remembered who you are, or you've completely forgotten and walking unconscious. It has a real structure, which means you can actually connect with it. Some so-called enlightened teachers have unfortunately shared distorted teachings nowhere near truth about monadic enlightenment or embodiment, let alone full self-mastery. People are often told they need lifetimes of intense spiritual practices and ego breakdown just to begin to understand the layers of self beyond the soul. But the soul actually is not really that far away. It's the second density. And there are 5 densities, and your soul sits in the second density. If you've been told the soul is the highest attainment, spiritual attainment, this is a distorted truth. There's much more than we've been led to believe. Now, I'm not attacking any faith or religion or practice. I'm only outlining the truth here, and I'm not trying to make it complicated. This is the freedom teaching paradigm, the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order teachings by Ashiana Dean, Speaker 1. And a lot of these interpretations that I'm bringing you today are also mine as well. But they're based on the same concept. And I urge you to do your own research and reach your own conclusions, of course. So I'm only bringing this to your attention so that you have clarity about this particular topic, because the monad is extremely interesting. I've always been interested in the word monad, but I haven't really been able to put my finger on it and actually know exactly where is it, let alone how it activates. Until I'd done the freedom teaching activations, of course, and now I feel more connected to it. Slowly, progressively, it's coming online, and I know because there's tangible results. So another thing I would like to mention as well is, while many traditions conceptualize the monad, whether they call it Atman, Atma, Rigpa, as the pinnacle of the spiritual realization, I speak from a different lens, as I said, not to debate or to argue or to put anyone down, but to offer clarity. Because in fact, all these teachings come from the singular source, from the same source. Now, in the Emerald Order lineage, the monad is the level 8 out of 15 levels of identity architecture. It's an architecture, well-designed architecture. It's an level 8 of 15, meaning it's an advanced station of consciousness that an angelic human may embody in any time on their path, any time they wish to, toward ascended mastery. And so in this dimensionalized structure, the monad is the oversoul. So it's not the soul that sits on density 2, it's the oversoul that sits on density 3. And many of us cannot manifest our divine purpose and destiny projects until this alignment and embodiment of our oversoul or monad transpires. So we're not merely here to learn about the monad, we're here to experience it, to feel it, and to remember its intact state before it became reversed, and to reclaim that original alignment, of course. So that's the essence of this today's segment. And stay with me, because at the end I'm going to be giving you a technique to help you establish that connection with the monad. Simple yet, and short yet powerful. Okay, so I want to now explain why the spark of the living flame, the monad, is very important. The dimension 8 location of the monad is important because it's actually at the center point of both something called a time matrix and Kathara grids, 2 Kathara grids level of being, which are the primal light and primal sound field matrices. This, in other words, is at the center of creation, the monad, because it's in the time matrix. It's also at the center point of what is called the manifestation matrix. Primal light and primal sound, when they manifest into time and matter, and so that becomes a manifestation matrix. And the monad sits right at the center of these matrices. You would have heard of the seed atom or the azure in the thymus. The seed atom and the monad are deeply connected, essentially different aspects of the same thing. So you can think of the monad as a light source generator, the energy that comes through the template and brings it to life. While the seed atom, the azure, is the template through which that energy is beaming through. Okay, so here's another way to picture this. Imagine a spark. Imagine what sparks the light of a candle as the monad. You have a candle. What sparks the light, what makes it lit up, is the monad. It's a pure, undistorted source expression. It needs something to manifest on, or through, I should say. It needs a wick. The wick is the structure that makes room and space for that light to be visible, to be experienced. And the two are aligned in intention. They are both of the same intention because one cannot function alone. They're not separate, but they complement each other. They're complementary aspects of a unified design, each playing its own role in the projection of that perceived hologram or the reality field that we experience. Think about it now. If you had a candle but no wick, you would not be able to experience the spark because the light can't be anchored. So without the light, the wick has absolutely no purpose. If you had a candle sitting there and you couldn't generate the light, what's the point of having a candle? What's the point of having a wick? The wick, the candle, needs something to express that light, and the light needs the candle and the wick in order to express itself through. This is the dance of creation. This is when intention, I want to express myself through the candle, through a form. And so intention becomes form, and the form reveals the intention. Okay, so the form of the candle is revealing that beautiful light that we're seeing. This is the monad. It's the aspect of our multidimensional self that holds direct connection to source and capacity to manifest here in this matrix or other matrices, I don't know, maybe, in this space and time, the way it intended to express itself. And not just express itself once and then dim itself and disappear. It's meant to be an open communication, perpetual cycling, okay, back and forth. It holds the capacity for eternal life. It's like a doorway and the key. It's both lead to source. And, try and close the door, we lose access. When the key is lost, we lose access. So now at this junction in our life, we are finding the key again to open the door so we can regain these spiritual powers again. So there is no obstruction. What is really interesting too now with the planetary changes and these energetic changes is that the indigos and angelic humans are waking up. And unfortunately, with no waking up, they're also becoming targets because of what they've got, the monadic connection. Because each time you spark, you're sending a message out there that, hey, I've got that lit, I've got that connection. Someone else wants it who have lost connection. Okay, this is why indigos and angelic humans remaining in alignment and at one-ment, it's extremely important that we keep that living spark lit. No matter how many ups and downs, and we have to stay strong. No matter how far we drift away and get sucked into that victim-victimizer, the VV game, the duality game, we're always guided through the living flame. We're always guided to find a way back. It's our divine purpose to hold the eternal flame of the living light. I want to take a moment to just speak to divine purpose, not in a way that claims that I'm speaking for everyone, but as a general reflection for angelic humans, especially those carrying the indigo codes. You have to remember, if you are an indigo, you are on a mission. You're not just here to heal your own monadic connection, but you're here to support the planet to restore its monadic connection. You're here to participate in the Bio-regensis and the frequency stewardship. So we, indigos, angelic humans, we hold time codes, ancient time codes. We hold timelines in our codes, in our DNA. We are the guardians, we protect the stargates, and we serve source, we serve ourselves. We're here to restore the organic architecture that once was. So it's a big mission, if whether you feel it or not. It doesn't negate the fact that you are the one that actually chose to come here and do this work. And yes, sometimes I appreciate it can get really intense and it feels like when nothing's working, I'm just going to give up. But don't give up, because giving up means you're giving up on your eternal spark. And now I want to delve deeper into the matrix structure and the dimensionalized matrix, the soul-monad connection. Who and why monadic reversals occurred. Who are the players? What do they want? And what has been the outcome of these reversals? Then I want to offer you healing methods at the end of this segment and the short technique. Okay, so stay tuned. Basically, the oversoul identity, as I said, is located in density 3. Another word for density 3 is harmonic universe 3. We have 4 harmonic universes. In other words, we have 4 density levels. Each density level holds 3 divisions, and these 3 divisions are dimensions. So each 3 dimensions make one density level or one harmonic universe. And there is a 5th harmonic universe, which is the primal light and primal sound fields with the one above it. These are fields of primal means. They're pure light and pure sound. When we start to talk about the 5th density level, we're talking about pure light fields. So the levels of creation that we manifest and project into the hologram that becomes matter and pre-matter is from 1 to 4, in total 12 dimensions. The monad is on the 8th dimension. So there are 7 below it, and there are 4, 9, 10, 11, 12 above it to reach the Christos avatar 12-dimensional identity completeness. So 12 avatar level, okay? The monadic identity doesn't just stand alone. It's in harmonic universe 3 and includes the 7th identities, the dimensional 7 identity. It's called the Katharic mind, and above it is 9-dimensional identity called the Karyadic, which is in the galactic core. The monadic is the D8, it's at the meta-galactic core, because each of those dimensions is a stargate that connects to a chakra, okay? It's a very important inner and outer stargate, as above so below, in our body. And in our body, it's Kathara point 8, which connects to the thymus gland. Now, there are 134 identities within the 3rd harmonic universe, which is the oversoul matrix. There are 144 identities in each dimension. We have 12 frequency band, 12 dimensions. 144 times 12 is 1,728. That means there are 1,728 levels of self if you incarnate here in the time matrix. Thus, each person is a part of an incarnational family of 144 oversoul identities that has 1,728 cells awaiting to be integrated. I believe this is double if you also count the Partikam feminine universe, and the Partike universe would be double that number, because there's the same set for the masculine universe, so that number's double. Each of the 144 incarnates carries part of the 12-strand DNA pattern within its genetic code. And as these 144 incarnates progressively evolve with the planet through the 6 time cycles, the 12-strand DNA imprint is progressively accreted and built up to form genetic codes. This is how we restore the genetic and racial memory, is we start to integrate parts of the self and they accrete, the frequency accretes, and that's when we have more memory, okay, or more frequency. Frequency is memory, so it accretes. It's an accretion process. It's an integration process. Now, the spirit body of the monad is the higher mind. It functions as the observer, as the eternal observer. It is neutral, it is discerning, and it is quietly aware of everything that's happening. It perceives the formation of concepts and makes assessment from the accumulated soul experiences. And so the higher principle consciousness doesn't actually react. It doesn't get involved in duality games. It responds to all sorts of situations with clarity. There's a clarity there because it's connected to eternal life. Now, when the spirit governs the nervous system, we become more conscious. There is a more conscious process happening. The human will then see with full awareness. They will decide, make decisions that are stemmed from clarity and rooted in clarity. And as true consent arises from the intelligence of the spirit rather than the duality of the matter world. Okay, so this becomes more like I'm a product of my environment. It's not so with the monad. The monad has clarity that's connected to eternal intelligence. And so that becomes the human condition. The human condition is the conflict, basically, the inner conflict that happens inside. It's like my higher self telling me this, my lower self wants me to do this and secure the job and keep going. But my higher mind wants me to do something different and follow the spark. But what's essential is to follow the spark. And yes, we need to be secure and safe and have all the means to be comfortable here. But yet again, you have to make priority your spirit, okay, and follow that inner spark. And without the connection, the body is just unconsciously consenting to all sorts of distorted energies, right? Dark forces, they actually are good at exploitation. They exploit the gap when someone their life is in disarray, or when they're just running amok, when their mind is constantly battling itself, when there's an internal conflict, there's no clarity, there's no self-awareness. They exploit that gap. They feed on confusion, they feed on passivity. When we lack self-awareness and discernment, that's when we risk becoming one and enmeshed with these dark forces, and we go down the path of fall. Now, there are physical symptoms that you experience in a monadic activation. Like I said before, the Christ seed atom, the permanent seed atom, or the Christ seed, it's all the same thing. It starts coming online when the monad starts connecting to the body. Okay, higher spirit starts to connect to the body at the thymus level here, and it starts adjusting and making physical changes like the heart and the blood patterns. They start to change. It changes the hormones. It makes changes in the endocrine system, in the biorhythms. I feel sometimes my heart skips beats. Like there's no physical reason for it. It just happens, I think, from the activations. It starts to make those biorhythms, it interferes in a good way because it's overriding the negative template. And it becomes a domino effect when the monad starts coming online. Many Christics who have done the techniques and activations have experienced jolts in the body rhythms different to what they've had earlier or previously. So the higher spirit body starts connecting to the body at the thymus level, and it starts to make those heart and blood pattern changes. And this is what it's about. This is why we're here. We're here to ignite the Christ consciousness, eternal seed atom, and bring that online, even if it's going to be uncomfortable. The thymus complex this is called the thymus complex. It regulates those changes in the metabolism, and it causes shifts to the endocrine system and changes functions in the endocrine system, begins to purify the blood with the crystalline formations within those blood cells. As these changes occurs within us, it also changes the pulse rhythm. It changes the Merkaba pulse rhythm as well, the base pulse rhythm. So things start to shift in our external environment too. We start seeing manifest all sorts of things that weren't in a hologram previously. In a planetary level, this is the time where the planet starts to rebuild its diamond heart network. So previously it was an Iberian dowry crystal grid, which is a negative implants. It starts to restore its 12-dimensional pattern, which is the diamond heart network for the planet. So many areas of the planetary grid are damaged, and the planetary heart is damaged by the Anubian black hearts. So they're all running on energetic reversals, and as you know, that's called the metatronic reversal. But if we can hold this higher base rhythm of the 12D shield and above, we can create a circumference in the area where we can literally feel safe. It's called a safe zone. What is polarity reversal of the monad, and how is that experienced? So I've just spoken to the fact that when we activate, certain things start happening on a physical level. What about polarity reversals? How does that manifest? The term polarity reversal of the monad means unnatural alignment of the rod and staff. suffocating the natural breathing cycles between the individual, the planetary body, and source. So the staff breaks from its axis, from the center. Instead of connecting to the center at a 45-degree angle, the red rod and staff then are unable to regenerate and connect back with the Eka energies, okay, source energies. And if they cannot regenerate, they cannot replenish and they cannot return to God, to source. And there's a term for that. This is called phase lock, means restriction, means suffocation. They remain static and unable to breathe, unable to regenerate. This phase locking occurs at a 30-degree angle and forms something that you would know. I'm sure you would know because I've mentioned it in nearly all my videos. It's the Vesica Pisces configuration. If you don't know what that is, this is a snake devouring its own tail, aka Ouroboros. If you're not sure what that is, look it up. Ouroboros, Ouroboros. It's something that eats from its own self to sustain itself. And the Vesica Pisces is like an 8, figure 8 as well. Now, this phase locking forms also something called the solar cross, which has formed due to that reversal and the breaking of the staff axis. This is where the mockery of the cross comes from. This becomes the energy sucking mechanism. Anything built on this reversal, anything built on the Vesica Pisces configuration, on the 55 Desta Merkaba configuration, becomes antichristic because it cannot regenerate, it cannot replenish, it is on its way to death. This formation is the 55 Merkaba that sucks energy out of a living system it's living in. These cannot cycle any pure energy from source. These fields are produced from artificial light because they need something to sustain them due to that lack of spark. So they created this field of artificial light called the Shona destruction field. And that's precisely why our crystal body can't breathe at the moment, because we're anchored into that Shona field. This is all result of the monadic reversal. They interfered with the monadic reversal. They broke the staff and changed its axis, and hence it cannot breathe, it cannot generate arcs. And this is what the unnatural alignment of rod and staff essentially, literally have done, is suffocate us. Literally, like we cannot breathe when it comes to energy. We can breathe air, we can't breathe energy. So that means we can't perpetuate our cells. They die, they end up. This is why we die. Okay. Now, the Kabbalah tree of life is actually a mutated version of the Kathara tree of life. It is built on an unnatural phase lock configuration. It's the worst implant ever for us. You can refer to the video Kabbalah versus Kathara on our channel if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, they stand between the natural ethos, etheric particule, which is a masculine field, and the matter particum, which is the physical. And yeah, which means they stand between natural meridians that come from the ethos and the natural axioms that come from the density currents here, okay? These are the energy circuits. If you don't know what meridians are and the axiom lines, they both are masculine and feminine electrical magnetic currents. So this implant stands in the middle between the two. It splits them into two. So they're not together, they split up, masculine, feminine, leading to all sorts of duality, gender games, gender wars, duality games, all sorts of splitting gender technology. I will make a podcast on that. Actually, I will make a full segment, because I want to talk about witchcraft, saving that for the new year. So stay tuned. This will be huge. All sorts of witchcraft. Witchcraft means anything that goes unnoticed and has an impact on us in negative way. This is meant to be about how things affect us in a negative way and how how we've become phase locked in this death Merkaba, death system. So we want to, restore that. We want to stand up for our sovereignty. We want to walk free from all these these unnatural configurations. But you have to understand what's at play here. The light field becomes the Shauna dead light. It's, like I said, it's based on unnatural formation of light from refraction lenses called the Metatronic technology, based on Metatronic technology. And so these reversals reduce us to actually 1/3 of the frequency we're meant to have. 1/3, meaning 1/3 of our consciousness we are meant to embody right now. Our heart rate is moving faster and we die sooner, and we experience something called molecular compaction due to these unnatural energies. Now the important question becomes, how do we heal these monadic reversals? Before I give the answer, I want to say something important, and that's to acknowledge there's many players participating in the monadic reversals to disconnect us from source. And these agendas have names, and they're intense, okay? Their world order dominion agenda is one of them. This is targeting people with the monadic connection, that have the potential to restore that monadic connection. It is not a coincidence the negative forces who declared war against the Christic races have decided to join forces. Okay, this is why it's a huge, powerful force that we're working against, or that fighting against. They themselves don't get along, but their common theme or common goal is to take down those that have that monadic connection, because this is what's going to sustain their matrix. It's not a fear message, by the way, but if you don't know what I'm referring to, please watch the segment on our YouTube channel called Revelations. It's not for the weak at heart. It's really something that you got to face within you as well. But you got to acknowledge that these forces are at play and we're up against them. We have to defend our sovereignty. We have to defend our template. We have our souls, and we don't want to give that away to them if we can help it. So this is very enlightening. Revelations, there's 2 or 3, I think, segments. And I basically go into all the machinations and the mechanics and the agendas that they use that you may not be aware of. So it's very enlightening. Take notes and listen to it when you feel called to do that, okay, in your own time when you're ready. So essentially, I just want to quickly mention here a few things that had happened that really accelerated the monadic reversal. These forces, the dark forces, they actually created false 12 DNA strand activation programs. One world order, this is an agenda, religious and New Age teachings, they're all geared toward monadic reversals. I mean, take a look around you. It's not hard to see it from anywhere from TV programs, harmful radiation, frequencies, subliminal messages, reversals in the grids, even transgenders, biowarfares, food chemtrails, chemicals, all to reverse our mitochondrial viability and kill the physical body, because then we can't anchor the monad, okay? The mind mass control programs and so much more, okay? These programs, they're not merely running undercover. Some are not so subtle, some are actually out there in your face. they are calling people out who are less suspecting in broad daylight to participate, like the UFO movement. They're confident that people are in need, and they are targeting the vulnerable, the people with fear that want to be saved, and they're, telling them that we're coming to save you and everything in their ships. UFO agendas, they're manipulation agendas. They're telling people one thing, but it means something completely different. The unsuspecting New Age movement, the channels, the contactees, especially in the 80s and 90s, that was a big thing. That's by design, by the Jehovah bipedal dolphin people, the Anunnaki, Sirius, Arcturian, Galactic Federation, the Palladian, Niburian, Anu Seraphim, aquatic, ape hominids, the Anunnaki Draconian, reptile hybrid races. These are examples of how the template becomes hacked and primed for possession. They come through, they don't come at you and look at you in the face and say, hey, this is what we want. Can you give it to us? No, they infiltrate where there's a weakness, where they perceive a gap, a misfiring maybe in the template, a fear, a passiveness, a passivity. They come in and they manipulate, okay? Needless to say, also in the channeling movement, it's big, massive part of the reversal agenda. It's very convincing. It's very therapeutic for a lot of people who are living in pain, in trauma, in confusion, in uncertainty, because it's like a Band-Aid to a wound. So, yeah, these agendas are created by design, okay? They created to control your template and eventually take over. And one of the most prominent expressions of the Alpha, Omega, Centaurian, Andrami, Anunnaki, Draconian, Necromaton collective is the Archangel Michael matrix. It's a massive bio-neurological mass mind control program. Okay, it runs through the Alpha Omega collective. It's literally broadcast into Earth's waves. It's really cruel, and it runs from parallel Earth through the Niburian diodic crystal grids. They're the implants, crystal implants in the Earth grids. So these false 12-strand DNA activation programs, they are geared toward monadic reversal to scramble and reverse your file letter sequences so that your human DNA template shuts down and doesn't reach full completion, full embodiment, and full spiritualization. So diabolical, but you have to understand the game and stand up for your sovereignty. Okay, they want to reverse you to reverse sequence 11, so you never reach 12 activation, so that you can assist the fallen angelic mission to gain control of, so they gain control of Earth planetary shield and stargates on a reversal 11 activation. 55 charge Merkaba, not the 45 Christic, but the 55 death charge Merkaba. Okay. On a brighter note, now I will bring you to the end of the session, and here is where I give the healing solutions, and as promised, that short technique to just go within and connect with the monad. And this is not the full Keylontic Science freedom teaching technique. This is not even from the teachings. This is my own. This is when I feel like I need to anchor in the now and feel my monad. This is like the preparation work, if you like, the foundation work. It's a good initial step, okay? Now, all right, so how can we activate the monad? How can we bring it back online? And I want to offer you a few healing solutions, and this is not comprehensive list by the way, okay? It's not a comprehensive list. So I will begin. The main thing that we need to do is flame body activations. There are some techniques like technique 16 in the flame body is a gold wave monadic infusion. This helps restore the monadic potential. Son of Orion, because 8 is connected to Orion. Also, advanced Kathara techniques all work on correcting monadic alignment to the D12 divine blueprint. So if you bought our journal, the flame bodies are there, but you don't even have to get the journal. You can just find the flame body techniques and the preparation techniques prior to the flame body, because there's a sequence that you have to follow. Okay, just ask someone in the channel or in the Emerald Order Freedom Teaching channel on Telegram. Send us an email. We're happy to send you the list. It's just a list. We don't give advice. It's personal. You have to do the work and find these techniques yourself, but they are part of the flame body techniques. Another way to restore the monad is the lotus breaths. So it's also called monadic breathing because it's literally breathing from the azure. It is a natural form that the breath takes when that connection to the monad is restored and open. It's a beautiful lotus breath pattern that opens the lotus petals. Okay, so we begin with opening the 6 and then 12 and then, and it goes up and out, and it's just beautiful. The end result, you feel like you're so expanded, so vast, and so like you're everywhere, you're so connected. That's you actually feel the perpetual regeneration of your life force. It's so beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. In contrast, the other form of breathing, like circular breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, they teach in yoga and stuff, that's not recommended. I don't recommend that anymore. I used to teach it 10 years ago or 8 years ago because I didn't know any better. And now that I do, these techniques, I don't recommend them anymore because they work on the Vesica Pisces configuration. It's a closed circuit. So you're just using the Shauna light, dead Shauna light. Okay, it's not the regenerating type Shalaya light, it's the dead light. So you're recycling that back into your body and then pushing it out on an unnatural axis. So not recommended. Another thing for healing the monad is cultivating concentration and learning to center within. That's so important because if you're not concentrated within, you're not going to be able to feel the monad, the essence of the monad within you. So yes, practices like yoga, doing physical stretches, opening, expanding the chest, breath work, mindfulness, accelerate monadic activation, especially when paired with physical awakening techniques like tapping, here, intuitive movement, just following the spark, the inner spark, dance. I love dance because it opens the heart, the chest. It brings that connection, fortifies the connection of the emotional body to the mind. Well, not the mind, the higher mind, but the part of the brain that always wants to be on fight and flight. It sort of puts that to sleep and it makes you just flow with the rhythm. That's very nice. And I've found also certain foods to be energetically supportive too. Spices, cacao beans. There's no scientific proof, so I'm not going to sit here and say this is scientific, but it is anecdotal. And yes, it's part of the, I don't know if the food's mentioned in Keylontic science, I don't know, but from personal experience, I know cacao beans, ceremonial cacao, it seems to do something so subtle if you charge it. It's beautiful. And yeah, must order some more, run out. But yeah, I've there was a time where I was like obsessed on a daily basis, and then the bag finished and it's like been a year or more and I still haven't got a new one. But anyway, that really helped at the time. You just feel more clarity and more connected. It's subtle yet profound. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah. Moving on. I also feel that a compassionate diet plays an important role in monadic embodiment. Eating foods that match your frequency, bioavailable foods, not dead food. bioavailable food, energetically clean, free from the suffering of other beings. This is important. I'm not suggesting a particular diet here, but just think about that and think, okay, how can I eat more compassionately? It helps to maintain coherence in the template. Okay, consuming food that doesn't carry the imprint of pain and exploitation is vital. I think that's okay. That's okay if you doing that for transmutation, helping other beings transmute. But if you're not actively doing that, it's better to, personally, I think, to avoid food that has been produced through the suffering of other beings. Okay. What else? Okay, I also recommend exploring some of our guided meditations, because our guided meditations are done with the monadic anchoring. So when I'm writing the script, I write the script with that connection online. So it's always coming from a deep place within. We have produced many. One is Reclaim Your Light.
Trust that a profound transformation is underway. As your thoughts and emotions realign, your energy and frequency naturally adapt and harmonize in response. As you breathe in and out, declare, I choose to live by the universal law of one.
That's the only one that's needs to be purchased on the site. The others are free and accessible on our YouTube channel. I Am Eternal Light, my mat and cutting cords meditation, and a new one, the Crystal Meditation, that's by Ashayana Dean. There's also Soul Breathing. It's all on our YouTube channel. Take some time to go through the various uploads. Could be helpful for you if that's the sort of thing you resonate with. These type of meditations are designed to help dissolve states of unworthiness and clear energetic distortions. Some refer to as black goo, anything that has tentacles that feed on the monadic template. So when we can cut these connections, we can free the monad. Of course, this is just a starting point. Ultimately, it's about tuning into what feels aligned with you, not doing something that you've been pushed into doing. It's just all in the right time. But the Freedom Teachings offer a complete toolkit from A to Z for anchoring your divine blueprint. If you're new to this path, I recommend beginning with anchoring the monad and Maharic shield activation practices. So the Maharic shield, 12D Maharic shield, is on our YouTube channel. These lay the foundational architecture for the monadic body to come online. You have to start with the D12 Maharic shield. As you progress, the axiom shield bonding techniques also helps to fix the reversal. So running the currents, the Liatore, this is as advanced Kathara. Because we have two pulses running at the same time, Metatronic and the natural, the more we can run the proper grids, the proper frequencies, the more we're going to be realigned back to the natural configuration. So, yeah, when we're also helping the Earth's grids as well. Activating our 45-degree Merkaba and anchoring the crystal seed atom, which will activate the monadic clock and bring in the Eros spark into the planetary grids and into our bodies. Because what we connected now is to the false Shauna deadlight field. We think we are organic because we're eating organic food, and that helps. But unless you're doing deep energetic work, you're not. You're just, by default, you're running with in the Shauna deadlight reversal monadic clock, which is the false timeline. It's a false timeline, which means the spin of the speed atom is running different to the Christic spin of seed atom. And, excuse me, under natural conditions, the staff breaks between D12 and D11, rotates to the sides, and it's not vertical anymore, and they both become like free radicals. They're running in your body. They're doing whatever they like. They're binding to whatever they like. It causes an unnatural formation of a Merkaba. And then it runs in certain configurations and it aligns with black hole systems. And then it keeps running and running until there's no energy left in it. So, and it makes the Merkaba compact and the manifestation field pop out. And at a certain point, the seed atom stops and all units release in space dust. So it's not a good outcome for these people who have extreme monadic reversals. That's why you need to know which Merkaba is running your energy field. Like, how are you running? Because if you're being taught Merkaba mechanics incorrectly, there is a chance that you're being taught the 55 charge, unnatural Merkaba, which is aligned to the black hole system. And you can fix that. You can fix it. You can first understand what the true Merkaba is versus the 55-degree Merkaba, and you can fix it. There's techniques you can do. I won't go into them because I've made a segment on that. So you can search for the Merkaba mechanics and learn there on how to do that. So when all these reversals happened, it was necessary that the guardians that are working for the ascension, true ascension, and the potential for angelic humans to regain their monad, and oversoul identity, it was necessary to plan to have a plan. This had to be done in a systematic way so it doesn't lead to overstimulation or exhaustion of our templates. Because if we have too many reversal and you hit it with a high frequency and high currents, it could lead to early death, which is molecular compaction. This is why activations had to be given in the freedom teaching paradigm in a sequential manner, and we couldn't just rush through it because it would be a moot point doing that. You wouldn't absorb anything if you did that. It had to be done slowly, progressively, work with the D12 current, and slowly, progressively work toward flame body as a minimum before moving to Kathara 2-3, advanced Kathara, and all the others that follow. It's also a personal thing because some people have less spark than others left. For instance, someone who has 31 to 33% divine blueprint left in their body, when the downpouring frequencies hit, they will not activate and wake up or become enlightened. They will go into more reversal because the spin, if it's reversed and it hits hard, it's just going to spin the wrong way. It will continue, but more intensely so. So this will actually lead to seed atom spin reversal, then monadic reversal. And so this body will have activated not the divine spark, but the blue flame fire sword initiation in their body. Okay, this flaming blue sword follows the sextant clock timeline for the 666 timeline. Yeah, so it's not a good thing. One of them is Archangel Zap Chambers. Another is a med bed. They beam you with energy. You come out feeling clear and good. That's because you've been aligned, but you've been aligned to the wrong. You've been aligned to the black hole. It's not the Christic alignment. Okay, it's not the organic time waves that you've been aligned to. So be careful with that. Any technology that says that it's going to align you, upgrade you, whatever, I stay away from it. The only technology I do is inner technology, because I feel it and I know how it feels in my body, and I know I can discern for myself. Whereas technology can give you that instant zap where you feel elated, but you can't really self-diagnose after that because you've been zapped. It's like you've been given a false, it's like, a drug or something that just puts you in an elated state where you get that withdrawal afterwards, but you don't even know it's from that. So it's reversal Merkaba spins are dangerous because too much static causes block in those natural circuits. So that eternal lotus flower slowly starts to die off, and the person will end up with a dark flowering. Just be careful with the technology that you're using and only follow your inner guidance. And I think that's all I'm going to cover, because I wanted to make this short and sweet and not too intense with too much detail. But as promised, I want to end this segment with a powerful yet very, very simple technique to initiate you into an activation. But it's not from the Freedom Teachings. I just have to say this again, because I don't want people saying, where's this technique from? And, you're free to do it and you're free to leave it. It's totally your choice. It's my own technique. So if you resonate with it, please stay and let's do this together. Okay. So we're going to take a minute to just ground. Close the eyes if you prefer. Just feel your breath. Inhale deeply through the nose. And exhale slowly through the mouth. Noticing the space between the inhale, which is the ire, the exhale, the monad, and the space between the two, the manu, the void. Now when you inhale, hold the breath in the azure here. Exhale and follow the breath. See how the breath flows out seamlessly and effortlessly. Try not to push it, just let it fall out. Again, awareness on the azure. Do this one more time with increased awareness this time, and much slower than before. Now, bring your right hand, 3 middle fingers, and begin tapping gently on the center of your azure, your thymus, between the heart and the throat, using only 3 middle fingers, with the intention of awakening the monad, the inner God flame. Just gentle tapping in any rhythm that you feel is organic. You're not having to force it. You could go slow, you could go fast. You could hold one tap and just feel that internal echo. Feel your breath slowing down. Feel your body 10 times more relaxed than before. Now I want to take you into a more subtle awareness level we're going into the awareness of compassion and what it truly means to you to embody it. So gently center your attention on the understanding that all beings, regardless of their origin, expression, race, or acts, they're all acting from their own level of consciousness. Let's hold space for them, for their struggles, their adversities, and allow yourself to feel that compassion for their suffering, even if a part of you believes that they deserve it. This is not about judgment. This is about pure compassion. It's about choosing to feel pure, unfiltered compassion, but let that arise naturally without resistance. Let it soften the outside. Okay, let it soften the edges. Just come into that space of deep compassion. You can have your right hand placed on the azure if you prefer, or just place your hands on the thighs. Now extend that compassion to yourself. How does it feel to be compassionate towards self and others rather than judging, rather than placing value on everything that's said, that's done? How about we just see for a minute the world from a lens of pure compassion? Now we're going to start gentle tapping again, and with each tap we're going to speak aloud or internally, quietly if you like. We're going to affirm, I return to my azure. I activate my divine essence. I align with eternal source. The 3 times, I return to my azure. I activate my divine essence. I align with eternal source. I return to my azure. I activate my divine essence. I align with eternal source. Breathe in. Exhale very slowly and gently. Quietly say, I will live to see this through. I am this I am. Taija into doorway. Okay, and then gently coming back. Very simple exercise, very practical. As I said, I personally like to come back to this part of me every now and then, because it's so easy to get caught up in the victimization games. But just coming to that place of unity, of awareness, just for that 1 or 2 minutes every now and then, reminds us of who we truly are and ignites that inner spark again. And that is your compassion, because without compassion, there can be no inner spark. There is only the full path that lacks compassion. So it's important to, feel, see, and have empathy with others. And we don't have to absorb their pains. We don't have to take it. We don't have to rescue anyone. But just to know, put ourselves in their shoes and understand their suffering, even on a mental level, it's very important, rather than take sides and put value on everything, because everyone is going through some sort of suffering, whether they like to admit it or not. There is either an avoidance, which brings about suffering, or there's a deep enmeshment in some kind of duality game where they pick the side and then they end up finding out that they've been betrayed. They pick the other side, same thing, and then it's just like a pendulum, back and forth. It's painful. So everyone is caught in some sort of game, and we send them all, good wishes and wish everyone to be free. Not happy. I like to say, I wish you happiness. I wish you freedom, because that's what we all need. So with this, I wrap up this segment. If you feel supported by this work, you're welcome to like, share, as usual, subscribe, donate, press the thank you button below. From Matt and me, may Source protect you and guide you. Activate your monad, with light and love of the one eternal creator, Omni.